Where were you at when I popped off? Riding the coupe with the top off. I cannot fuck with no knockoff. I'm in the stool like a pop star. Damn it, I feel like an outlaw. You wanna talk what about, dog? I'm in the room with the outlaws. I'm in the room with the outlaws. Let me deliver the home run. I'm calling this one a walk off.
What's going on, everybody? We back. You already know what time it is. It's time to jump in with Jack, baby. Let's talk about the Cincinnati Bengals. What's going on this week? What's going on with the rest of the season? Let's get into it. So, as y'all know, we're out of the playoff contention. We are right now in a situation where we have 2 games left that really don't mean anything, but really just battle for draft position. But the Bengals have yet to make a status that they would, excuse me, either one sit the starters for the rest of the year, i.e., Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and most likely T. Higgins, or if we're going to play. But the way it sounds, going from the conversation last week where they said that there was zero intention or zero thought process that they were going to bench Joe Burrow, this tells me that they're looking to play him for the rest of the season. Now, as y'all remember last week, my take was sit him. Let us go into the offseason with a healthy Joe Burrow, a guy who's not in bad shape, and let's go for bettering ourselves through the draft and through free agency. Obviously, we know we for the past couple of years we have not drafted extremely well. So I would honestly think that they would want to get a higher pick to trade back and to get more picks to be able to help emphasize and help bolster your roster with more young talent. But again, that's me coming from a fan and from what I've seen in this draft class that's coming out, especially when it comes to defensive line, especially when it comes to, i.e., you could look at offensive line. Also, you could still look at cornerback safety and any other defensive position. I think this year will be a defensive draft. I think the edge position is really highly scouted this year with Bane, Macasador. I forgot how you say his name, but the same two guys from Miami. Uh, you have the guy from Texas A&M. You have Anthony Hill coming out. You got a lot of different players who could really help your franchise. So I would definitely think that the Bengals would want to be a part of this draft to bolster the defensive side of the ball because I feel like the offensive side of the ball doesn't really need to be touched outside of offensive line. And I think we could find those simple offensive line pieces by free agency or even re-signing some of the guys that we have now, i.e. Dalton Risner. Dylan Fairchild has showed that he can play the guard position in the NFL and play at a very good rate. So you really don't have to bolster on one side. I think the only 2 positions that I'm really looking for on the offensive line is really left tackle and right guard. And the reason why I say right guard because Dalton Reisner is an older guy. I think if we find a younger guy that we could possibly put, and most likely center as well, but I think we have the center spot uh not locked in, but we have a guy ready to be able to transition. But I don't think he's been ready yet. So that's why Ted Karras has still been there. So I think center, right guard, if not left tackle. But the highest stake to me is left tackle because we're noticing year by year now that false start penalties for Orlando Brown has went up. We've noticed that he's getting beat a lot more off one-on-ones where we used to leave him on an island. Now it feels like we're having to, send a chip, send this, send that to be able to help him. Because again, he's getting older. With time, offensive linemen usually don't get better. There's not many guys that get better over time in the sense of once you get past that 28, 29, 30 range. Once you get into that 31, 32, 33-year-old offensive lineman, you usually lose a little bit of that step. And that's why you start noticing, unnecessary false starts. It's just him trying to get out the gate faster because obviously you're facing it younger and younger as you go down the timeline. But still, all in all, my take still stands. I still think we should build for the draft or build for not even just the draft, but build for free agency, build for the draft, try to come out with Trey Henderson's contract ending. Don't need to re-sign him. I think we should let Joseph Osai walk. I think we should let Cam Taylor Britt walk. I think we should let uh, Miles Murphy walk. I think really anybody from this previous tenure for defense line other than TJ Slayton should not be here next year. And Shamar Stewart is added to that list, but I know we can't get rid of him yet. So say Shamar Stewart is a keeper, TJ Slate is a keeper, Chris Jenkins is a keeper, because now we have a guy to play the one technique. I think he's Chris Jenkins is a way better three technique than he is a one technique. I think he's always been like that. I think even when he was back in Michigan, they had, Mason Graham, they had Kenneth Grant. They were able to, move him into spots where he was one on one most of the time with a guard or even sometimes a tackle, depending on what way he slants and what he's attacking. So I just think him in the three technique in that BJ Hill spot, I think he will be a more productive player. BJ Hill can go ahead and walk as well, just to give you more money and more cap space to be able to use later on into this tenure. Seeming that we have Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, and Jamar Chase locked in. Chase Brown again is another guy that I look at, and he probably will be receiving a contract coming down this line sooner or later. At that point, I think we have to figure out what we're doing with Taj Brooks. I think again, that's one of those things where I'm still trying to figure out what is he going to be used for, because I haven't seen him in an aspect of where he's used for this role. I mean, because even short yardage, we bring in some JP Ryan. Pass pro, we bring in some JP Ryan. Passing on our routes goes to Chase Brown. So where's Taj Brooks going to be used? Is still a question that I'm wondering. But back to the defense, I think there's a couple more people. Geno Stone can get gone. Um, I think we have to find a safety. We need to find uh, two good edge rushers that can rush the passer, not just be run stoppers. We need pass rushers. So if we use Shamar Stewart first and second down, bump him in the D tackle and bring some edge rushers in that can actually do the job. Um, I think corner we've gotten a lot better. I think I do like DJ Turner, but he has to give me another year of what we saw this year. Dax Hill didn't have a bad year, but he didn't have a great year either. I think he was at an okay rate. I think we need to find a guy to fit that slot role. But I think again, the biggest priority to me is safety. And well, biggest priority to me on the secondary is safety. I think we can find a nickel corner in free agency and solve that issue. Um, but one thing I was really shocked about was I was watching Cincinnati Bengals Talk with James Rapine. Shout out to Cincinnati Bengals Talk podcast. Also, James Rapine, great Cincinnati reporter. Also, Andrew Fox as well, because he hops on there as well with him. Shout out to those guys. They do a great podcast. Love your work, gentlemen. But they were talking, and Andrew Fox and James Rapine brought up this point of don't let the front office let these two games forget why you are here, because these two games could change the narrative of what they think the team is really is. And I think we've done that the past 3 years where we've sucked, and in the last couple games we did really well, and then next we're like, oh well, you saw the last 5 games, like we could have been doing this all year. If was a fifth, the world would be drunk. So I don't want them to get confused by what we see in these last 2 games. I want them to realize that we need to make changes. We need to. We can't afford another year where we think that we're going to get the defense for these last 2 weeks, because these last 2 weeks are going to show us like, oh, we can really put out a good defense if we actually did something. No, no, no. Listen. I'm telling you this as a fan, as a person who loves this team. Do not let these 2 weeks fool you, front office, because if you do, you're going to get everybody in that front office fired. Just being real. This is no, without any context, without any sugarcoating. If you go for a third straight year and let this last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, however many weeks you want to go back, fool you and think you don't have to make any changes to this defense, and you go into the next year with the same defense, this whole front office is going to be on the chopping block. And that's including coaching staff as well. Because there's no way you went through this whole season and said there was no problems on the last 5 weeks, told you that there were no problems on defense. And we did. It was just because of luck of the draw that we have the record that we have. No, no, that's not how this works. So defense, so front office, please do the due diligence. Understand that these last couple weeks, teams are in situation where they're either trying to build for their draft position, or build for the playoffs, or build to not get hurt. So let's be smart. Let's already know where our tick marks are, and then as we get to the free agency and/or the draft, if situations change where either we sign somebody or we get new additions to the team, eh, oh, excuse me, we realize that we still have work to do. We have work to do, gentlemen. So let's get it done. So at the end of the day, I love the way that, in the words of my great colleague Meech, what I'm saying, my guy from Still Talk Podcast, shout out to my boy. I do good business. Listen, I'm trying to do good business. So let's be smart. Let's be smart. Let's go out here. Let's play these last two games, no matter win or loss. I feel like at this point, win or loss shouldn't matter too much. But I feel like at the end of the day, we're competitors. So I know for a fact we're gonna try to win. So let's go out here and play our game, but understand that we need to make changes. Changes need to be made. If that means personnel, personnel. If that means coaches, that means coaches. If that means front office, scouting department, scouting department. Whatever it is, changes need to be made. It is showing in the off, it is showing in the players, it's showing in the gameplay. We need to make changes. And I just want that to happen. Last but not least, we're gonna jump into it real fast just because I really want to get a little head start on it. Right now, if the draft was tomorrow, who are you taking? Is there any guy that you feel like is a very very high priority for your team? Obviously, everybody wants Caleb Downs who needs secondary help. I would love Caleb Downs. I think that would be a great pickup. The guy I want and the guy that I think would really help this team is Ruben Bain or Mac Hissador from Miami. We need defensive line. We need guys to get after the rusher or get after the passer. And I think those two guys do it. I think if we can get them both, or at least one, and then get another DN in the second round or second or third round, that would be great. I think the way the depth is on this uh, defensive end draft class would really help our edge room. We need somebody to get after the passer, especially if the how this is going, where we let Trey Hendrickson go, is going to go like that. I think we do need to focus on DN. We need to find somebody to get after the passer because I'm tired of watching quarterbacks have 15 minutes to throw. And that cost us multiple games this year. And even in the games that we did when there were a couple games where we shouldn't have won because guess what? We gave the opposing team's quarterback again 15 minutes to throw. So let's be smart. Let's go do good business and go find us an edge rusher. Go find us a guy to go get the quarterback. And I don't want no 6'5" specimen that only got 4 sacks. Okay, I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to take a shot at Shamar, but I could go make 6 tackles. But anywho, at the end of the day, it's Big Who Day, Mr. Who Day, your guy, your man's Big Jack. This is jumping in with Jack. Let's go hit the likes, hit subscribe, hit that bell to make sure you know when I'm dropping. And again, stay tuned because you already know Still Jumping is really on the way. You already know how it goes. We gotta drop the collab. Make sure y'all get that weekly dose of Still Talk and Jumping In with Jack coming together to make a great video. So stay blessed, drink water, say a prayer, and most of all, Merry Christmas, baby, and happy holidays to the ones who celebrate the other holidays around this time, i.e., the Kwanzaa, the Hanukkahs. But again, for my religion and my people, hey, Merry Christmas.